Body shot. Ooh, that hurt, didn't it?
When adrenaline starts pumping and you know what you can do with this right hand, it's hard to not do that.
Here are your hosts, Derick G and AJ.
Marvin Vettori, the Italian Dream, defeats Paulo Costa via unanimous decision, a 5-rounder that a lot of people did not see coming. I think most people thought we were going to see this one finish inside the distance, but nonetheless, an important lesson was proven on Saturday, and it was that sometimes, and I emphasize sometimes, integrity truly does win out in the sport of mixed martial arts. My name is Derick G. I am your host, and checking in with me, as always, is the New Mexico native, the Santa Fe bomber, AJ. What's going on, brother? Listen, man, we had a couple of really big things popped up off the page today on Saturday, man, right? Grant Dawson and Ricky Guillen. Ricky Guillen is someone who we saw a lot of value in the underdog pick. Came this close to getting the finish in the third round, but he pushed the majority draw. We'll talk about that in a second. I need to ask you off the bat, brother. Fedor, the last emperor, Emelianenko, he gets the first round KO victory against Tim Johnson at UFC, or at Bellator 269, Moscow, Russia. It was crazy. The man looked like he was a prime 25 years old in there throwing those hooks, man. And if you didn't get to see it on Showtime, there were plenty of highlights to go around where you're able to catch that, man. What'd you think of that? Looking flawless, right?
Ooh, looking flawless, man. He even looked a little bit slimmer from my take, man. From what I was watching, he looked like he really showed up, ready to fight. And yeah, those hooks were flying. That hit he hit him with, I forget if it was a right down the middle or if it was a hook, but man, bro, you could hear that crack. Yeah, Fedor was looking good, looking prime, man. Another ageless wonder we got on our hands. I don't know if I hope he didn't announce his retirement, because he looks like he's still got a good 5-6 years in him, man.
He said he was all like, yo, man, this was the most important knockout of my career, most important victory of my career. I think he's probably hinting at coming back again, and if he does, he would be on. I mean, he's currently on a 2-fight win streak. I believe he's 8-2 in his last 10. Oh man, listen, like you said, another ageless wonder right there. But that's not important. What's important right now is the UFC coverage we got here today, and to note that let's see how we did in our 6 bouts, right? Weirdly enough, I went 3-2 and 1, I guess you could say, because one majority draw, but we're not going to count that, right? So 2-3 for you, 3-2 for me. I moved to 115 and 84. You moved to 199. That's literally like right there, borderline cusp, 50% on the die. You know what I'm saying? So we got some room to make up for next week at UFC 267. But nonetheless, AJ, before we get into things, folks, I do need to remind you: drop a like, subscribe, rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts or wherever you find your podcasts at. Drop some questions on our YouTube page at Free Thinkers Club or at Bloody Water Podcast, and we'll do our best to get back, respond, all the good stuff. Like all the time, AJ, you scroll down on the YouTube and you'll often see that people are commenting on like older videos that we put up, things that are kind of, outside of the current news cycle, if that's what you want to call it. So we're still even on those, man. Let's talk about it. There is discussions to be had. Am I right, my man?
Yeah, man, and the nice thing is these fighters are continually fighting each, not every single month, but months and months down the road. So they're coming back, and we see you, man. We see you responding. There's a lot of times where we'll say something in there that's, we need a little clarification on. Hit us with the fact check, bro. That's what we love, man. We ain't people out here. We're not, robots. We don't know every single thing. So let us know what you think. Let us know the comments, man. Even where we messed up or where we're doing good. Either way, it all helps the algorithm. Let your homies know.
Absolutely, man. So before we get into our 60-second rankings review, AJ, listen, fun little stat, man. On the prelims, 4 bouts in a row featured and showcased a fighter earning their UFC debut win, I guess if you want to call it, right? Their first win in the big show. It probably wasn't their first, but it was their first win in the big show. And that includes Mason Jones, Tabitha Ricci, right? Baby Shark right there. Shout out to her. Jamie Pickett, Jai Herbert, and those 4 right there. So I thought that was pretty interesting, AJ. So we were talking a little bit before we got on air that this has been a couple, back-to-back lackluster cards. And what I mean by that, I mean just kind of not as name-worthy. For the hardcores, we know all these people. We've seen their debuts and we've seen them come up. But what does this mean to you, man, that the UFC is starting to showcase more and more of these matchups? People did say about this card specifically that if Costa Vettori fell through, this would be a very, people weren't watching this card, basically. I liked it, though. So what do you think?
I like this card a lot. In fact, one of the reporters on the post fight with Dana White said, he was like, oh, well, the Marvin Vettori fight, made the fight for me. And I was like, man, that's crazy because there's a lot of people on this fight that did really, really well, man. I think they're just a little name recognition heavy. But what I like about this, Derick, is that band hammer that Dana White has been having, chopping people left and right, has made room for the new class to be coming up, man. There's a lot of new fighters, Jay Herbert, Tabitha Ritchie, all these people you're talking about that are going to have a very long career in the UFC that have been putting people to sleep left and right. I know there was we were talking about it before, that Herbert fight, as well as the one right before it that got it done.
Jeff Molina.
Right now. Say it again.
Jeff Molina.
Yeah, the Molina fight. I even couldn't remember before either, man. The Molina fight, bro. There was some serious heat going forward, but I like the fact that there's new people in the water out here, and it's gonna make for an entertaining season down the road going forward, man. What do you think?
No, I'm with you, man. I do think it's in with the new, out with the old. We always say if you're an old dog in the game and you still keep racking up the dubs, we have to feed you to the young guys, man, just because that's the way that it works. It's the filtration system here in the UFC, man. But all right, last thing, AJ. Randa Marcos, man, the quiet storm. She picks up a much-needed win. She snaps a 4-fight losing streak. She becomes 6-10-1 in the UFC. And she was on the verge of making history, AJ, but for the wrong reasons. If she would have lost on Saturday, her 11 losses in the UFC, I think, would have been an all-time high, like a record high in the promotion for women's mixed martial arts. So big win. First win for her in nearly 2 years. Her last one was against Ashley Yoder back in like 2019. Do you have any comments on that one, man? I feel good. This was like a feel-good one for me where I was all like, damn, all right, right on, man. Finally got the dub. What'd you think?
Yeah, there's those times when you're watching a fight where you're not necessarily rooting for the fighter, but you're happy to see the fighter win because you're like, yeah, man, this reminds me of like an old school, the feels were there on this win, man. I really liked it. It's bring back an old feeling about like the old guys getting the dub. Makes you feel good. Not to disrespect Randa Marcos. She's not old at all, but she's an older fighter.
She's an OG in the game. We could say that one for sure. All right, folks. Fight of the night goes to my sleeper. So let me get a victory lap on that, right? Jun Young Park versus RoboCop Gregory Rodriguez, man. Not the outcome that I wanted. I'm not gonna lie to you, but I'm happy that it was the outcome nonetheless. Performance of the night goes to Marvin Vettori in his defeat of Paulo Costa, and performance of the night goes to Bruce Leeroy, Alex Caceres, in his chokeout victory over Sting Seungwoo Choi. All right, AJ, let's get into some 60-second record recap, my man. All right, let's see what we got here. Okay, AJ, this is what's important here. I want us to look at the featherweight rankings right here, right? 1 through 15 is pretty solid. It's a pretty solid weight class overall. And I want to just talk about the maybe top 3, 4, or the bottom 3, 4 in the UFC consensus rankings as of October 19th. At 15, you have Ilia Topuria, right? All right, he jumped onto the scene against Ryan Hall, right? That was a big one. I think he had a big win against Damon Jackson as well. So, okay, right on. Top 15, maybe you crept in there with Ryan Hall. We don't know if it's truly deserved, even though the man has looked incredible as of late. Don't get me wrong, one of my favorite prospects. 14, Shane Burgos. 13, Movsar Evloev. 12, Sadiq Youssef, right? We got a handful of killers right there, dudes who are established, not the newest cats or the newest names on the block whatsoever. However, AJ, when we talk about our personal rankings, at 15, I got Lil Heathen, Jeremy Stevens, right? He's taken a sharp decline in my personal rankings. You have Movsar Evloev. At 14, I got Topuria. At 14, you have Burgos. At 13, I got Youssef. At 13, you got Thug Nasty, Bryce Mitchell, who unfortunately is out of my rankings due to inactivity. He broke his hand like a year ago or something like that, man. He's been out of competition for a while, so I've removed him for that reason. But the reason why I bring all of this up at all, the featherweight rankings for us and the consensus, is because there's not a new name, but a new player that probably needs to get introduced into this top 15 here in the near future, man. And his name is Alex Caceres, Bruce Leeroy. With that submission victory, man, second round over Sting Seungwoo Choi. Listen, dude, I mean, Choi at this point, for me personally, if he would have got the win in definitive fashion, he was 17, 16, 15. He's right there for me. Alex Caceres, AJ, let me pull it up right now. The man, he has a real case to enter this top 15, in my opinion. He's on a 5-fight win streak, the longest in his career, and he's 13-10 with 1 no contest in the UFC. The man has racked up 13 career wins, not in any promotion, not just throughout his MMA career, in the best promotion in the world, right? So if we're talking about all records not being equal, I mean, Topuria, I think he's like 11-0, 10-0, right? Caceres has more wins in the UFC than he does overall wins at all in general. Is there a case to be made for Alex Caceres to be in the top 15, not only in our rankings, but also in the UFC consensus rankings? What do you think?
There's definitely an argument for it, Derick. And even when I was doing the matchmaking, we'll get to that at the end of the show. But I was like, this dude easily needs to be fighting top tier fighters, man. Top 15, right to the 10 area. This guy's been doing it for a long time. Like you said, man, his record speaks for itself. And Caceres, the way he gets it done, he's able to get it done on the ground. But while he was standing up, he was looking slick as well, man. He had the pullbacks, he had the moves. He was looking like a Jet Li, man. He was looking fierce out there. There's a lot of comparisons you can make to his karate style, and it was a great fight, man. There's a lot of room for Alex Caceres to be going in the future, and I definitely think he needs to be up there, at least in consideration for the top 15, man. I know I'm looking at my rankings right now, and there's going to be some pretty big shuffles going around because there's some names on there that you just, like, in my mind, they're still on my top 15 because of like what they've done in the past. But this is a sport of what have you done for me lately? And a lot of these dudes haven't really been making too many moves lately. They've been really resting on their laurels. And I definitely think Alex Caceres has some room to, make a little bit of moves up there in the top 15. Derick, what do you think?
Well, what's funny, man, is that was a common theme we heard on Saturday, right? Michael Bisping talked about it a lot. You cannot rest on your laurels in this sport. Not if in the middle of the fight, not in the middle of your career. It does not matter. You cannot do that. And for that reason, AJ, I want to ask you this. If you had to consider in the last from 10 to 15 in your personal rankings, one name to drop out of there to include a potential Alex Caceres, who would that be? For me personally, AJ, I'm not going to lie to you. It'd be Jeremy Stephens easy. I think we already know. The man is technically number 15 on my list because of all of the past little heathen performances he's given us, but not the last 5, 6, 7 fights personally. So what's one name you would drop to add our guy over there, Bruce Leeroy?
Yeah, I honestly, I'm kind of shocked even at myself. Like I said before in the intro, folks, sometimes we make some mistakes. I have Jeremy Stephens at number 8, and that's definitely the laurels on that one, man. There's going to be some shakeup right there for sure. So if not Jeremy Stephens, another one, and don't get me wrong, I feel like he's still an absolute OG in the mix. It'd have to be someone like Arnold Allen or like even Edson Barbosa, man. And it's crazy to see Arnold Allen. In my mind, he just hasn't done too much for me lately. Do you have off the top of your head who his last fight was?
I don't remember off the top, but I know he's on a 7-fight win streak. He's on like one of the longest active win streaks right now.
Okay, I can't because it's just that's a memory issue right there. But I'd honestly say one of the old dogs, man, like Jeremy Stephens or Edson Barbosa, and I know even Bryce Mitchell, like you said, he's been out for a couple months. So it's been an interesting shakeup. I'm gonna have to do some serious deep dives into these dudes' last few fights to really see what's going on. Because there's some moves that need to be made for sure.
No, right on. Well, hey. Once again, that's why we do the 60-second rankings review, so we can understand in our own head, why do we have this fighter here as opposed to this fighter? Who deserves to move up? Who deserves to move down? And who's in there just because, hey, man, I forgot to update my rankings, basically, more or less, right? So that's one of the things to take into consideration, man. I'm a little harsh on mine, though, because I still got Giga Chikadze in the top. He's in my number 9, you know what I mean? So you got him down there at number 6. Like, I'm not quite ready to bring him up there yet, but that's what's interesting about it. So, all right, folks, we can move on to a little bit of a recap. How about we do that, my man? So before we do actually photo collection, all that, we need to do the fighter of the night. We talk about it every single week on the post show. We need to talk about the fighter that stood out the most, that had the greatest narrative, the intangibles, the best performance, the best storyline, everything hand woven together time and time again so that they can be not just the fight of the night, right? We already got that crowned by the UFC, but the one distinctive to our program here, the fighter of the night. Who is your fighter of the night, AJ, for UFC Vegas 41?
Derick, for my fight of the night, man, I'm going all the way back to the prelims on this one, man. He didn't even win his fight, but I'm going David Omana, brother. This dude was a killer in there. He was a late fight replacement against an absolute savage in Mason Jones. And David, like I said, David Omana came in late. Everybody overlooked him, expected Jones to just absolutely run through this cat. And he had Mason Jones on wobbly legs, man. He almost had Mason Jones finished. Omana showed up to put in some absolute work. And when the phone rings, we say it all the time, you got to stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Omana showed up and said, oh, you need me to fight in 6 days? Word, I'll be there. Against who? All right, word, up a weight class? I'm in. Let's get this paycheck. Let's get it going. He might have lost, but man, he was a clear winner because he showed up on fight night and absolutely put some good work in, man. This dude, like I said, everybody overlooked him. From the jump, everybody thought, oh, this is going to be an easy fight for Mason Jones. It's almost not even worth showing up. Bro, David Omana showed up in spectacular fashion. And so you got to really watch out for this dude because not only did he jump up a weight class, but he's big. He looked like he belonged in the same weight class as Mason Jones. So when he's actually has a full camp on weight at his normal weight class, man, this is going to be a serious problem. Look for David Omana in the future. This dude is, I'm telling you, going to be here for a long time, making big waves and a hell of a striker, able to handle the ground game of Mason Jones easily. He even had Mason Jones gas. He even said, he was like, Mason Jones said at the post-fight presser, he was like, oh man, I thought I had him out. I emptied the tank. This dude weathered the storm, man. He kept it going. I've never had that happen in my entire life. That's because David Omana was a real deal fighter, man. He's able to show up and get it done. Maybe not get it done in the win column, but get it done on the feet and earn the respect of all the fighters out there, man. If you don't respect David Omana, what are you doing in the game right now? This dude is a real deal killer, man. Who's your fighter of the night, Derick?
Well, first, let me just give a comment, man. Onama not only went in there up a weight class, all the things you already said, he risked his man. He was 8-0 going into that fight, risked his undefeated streak, but he earned a lot of respect, like you said, man. So while it didn't show up in the win column, I think his name is on the map, legitimately. Let's not forget, Mason Jones is a double champ in Cage Warriors, man, of the Conor McGregor-esque, right, that comes through, who's supposed to, had all this hype on him, it's supposed to dominate everybody in the UFC, had a little rough start to his career, finally picked up his first UFC win, but the point is that Mason Jones is one of the most highly heralded fighters coming into the UFC in recent times, and Onama was able to come in there on 6 days' notice and just, come on, handle business, light work, right? So listen, man, that was a great pick for fighter of the night. I would have picked him if it wasn't for the man that I need to talk about, the man that you've heard me talk about, folks, time and time again on this program, RoboCop. Gregory Rodriguez is my fighter of the night. And yeah, did he go hand in hand? Did he win fight of the night? Yeah, absolutely. But why? Because if you just check the box score, if you didn't actually watch the fight, if you don't watch the prelims, then you're never going to truly understand. But what I found out truly watching this matchup is that this was the big test for Gregory Rodriguez. It was Jun Young Park. It was the man who was able to control a Tafan and Chukwe for 13 minutes on the ground, or not 13, for about 3 minutes. I take that back. John Phillips was 13 minutes. But nonetheless, you control a tank on the ground. You neutralize their best weapons. We know Gregory Rodriguez is a big, scary man, scary striker. He can get it done in the jiu-jitsu. Like, this dude is fluid. He is dangerous everywhere. But he truly put that on display on Saturday at UFC Vegas 41. So the beauty of the fighter of the night recognition that I'm giving to Gregory Rodriguez here is that he weathered the storm. We were talking about David Onama weathering the storm. We need to talk about Gregory Rodriguez because the man, yes, is he a little slow for the middleweight division? Yes, but his power is on 1,000. He was getting it put on him. Jun Young Park did what he does to everybody, and he says, I'm the smaller man, but it's okay because I'm going to walk forward and I'm going to bully the bully. He did that until RoboCop gave him a stiff right hand that had him out on his feet standing up. You know, one of those, you feel me, where, you know, you bouncing around. You don't know where you at and all that, man. So that's why overall, man, I just got to say it. The dude can do it standing up. He can do it on the ground. It does not matter. He's a huge man. He's got long reach. He's a scary prospect. And he's one fighter that I'm going to tell you, a lot of these top 15 dudes are not going to want to compete against, especially until he has a high number next to his name. So Gregory Rodriguez, RoboCop, you are my fighter of the night, man. You got the job done. And let's just say this, man. This is his 4th win in a row. He moves to 2-0 in the UFC. He came in as an underdog, man. He won on underdog money too. So we got to just put all of that things together, man. This is a very, very bright future. Butte. I don't know where that came from. A bright future for the prospect known as Gregory Rodriguez, AJ. Would you agree with that assessment, my man? Like, that dude really stood out to me. He jumped off of the card in totality for the results to me. What do you think?
Yeah, man. You wanna talk about an underdog. Everybody thought the Iron Turtle was going to be looking good, and that was a crazy fight. 100% fight of the night, man. It was old school. Gave me old school vibes of just when two dudes are just standing in the square box, just trading at each other, man. It was crazy to see. And what impressed me most, the fact that he was able to get it done on the feet. Yeah, sure. Always impressive. I love that. But the fact that he was able to control the Iron Turtle on the ground, man, that body triangle was fierce. And not only that, every time Jun Young Park would roll, he was just right on top. He'd throw those hips whatever way he needed to. He was good, man. That control was super impressive, bro. Very good win for Rodriguez.
And that was the big thing that stood out to me. Like I said, man, is like Jun Young Park, he neutralizes everybody. And he said it himself. He was like, in his head, he was all like, okay, you could see it in the game plan. He was like, all right, dude, this groundwork, it's not working, dude. We're going to have to stand up with him. And then what do? So it's like, that's how scary this guy is, though, man. He says, oh, yeah, you're not able to hang with me on the ground. I'm going to force you to stand up with me. Oh, even better, dude. Now let me knock you the fuck out. Like, oh, man, scary man. Shout out to RoboCop, man. All right, AJ, let's get into some photos, my man. Best photos of the night. So we're going to open it up with what we talked about. Look at that, man. That is Tim Johnson just laying there, deflated, probably unconscious from a couple Fedor hooks, a nice little flurry. You said he looked a little slimmer, man, from the picture. What are we thinking? Give me the assessment.
Bro, I was about to say he does look slimmer, bro. I'm confirmed in my image that I had in my head, bro. He's probably got a better six pack than me, man. Fedor's looking damn good out there. That's crazy, bro. It's crazy because even in a couple of his last fight, he had like the dad belly. He was hanging over a little bit on the belt, but this dude's looking fierce right now.
Hey, talk about a career resurgence, man. This is not even a resurgence, but I'll say when you're a lifelong mixed martial artist, if you're a lifelong martial artist in general, man, you want to be looking nice and sharp even in your 40s and all that, man. No reason for that. And I'm sure you agree, AJ, right? There's no reason for that stereotypical, oh, you hit 40 now, you just got to have the belly over the waist. And come on, get it in, man. Stay ready so you don't got to get ready. AJ, there was a lot of combat sports that went on this weekend, man, from KSW to Glory, Collision 3 to Bellator to UFC. And this is a picture of one of the greatest heavyweight kickboxing champions probably to ever have laced him up, to ever have done it, with a nasty, nasty cut, probably the toughest defense of his storied career thus far. This is Rico Verhoeven, man. This is a legend, man. I feel like the man gets no respect because I feel like people did not tune into Glory this weekend, but he suffered that cut, still got the win inside of the finish as well, inside of the distance on that one, man. I'm pretty sure for Verhoeven. So give me your take on this photo, man. Kickboxing can be a brutal sport, can it not?
Man, kickboxing is rough. That's one of the only times I've ever taken a KO, man, was with a foot to the head. And that's how it gets done in kickboxing. And it always blows my mind that Glory doesn't get the respect that they need, man. This is a crazy sport, and it's just because I feel like kickboxing is a little underwhelming, or at least in the media's eyes or in the people's eyes, it's just not as fun when you have the big pillow gloves on. But these dudes put some serious work in, man, and that cut shows proof right there.
Yeah, and it's crazy to me too, man, because if you think about, you want violence, you want more action, you want people to fight with more weapons, well, then you should tune into that, right? Kickboxing, it's gloves and kicks, right? Muay Thai, yeah, throw the elbows, knees. But, like, people don't watch it, right? You watch conventional boxing because it's Western and, it's very popular and it's tried and true. Or we watch MMA. So it's interesting because, those are all the best, you know what I mean? All the best competitions and all that, man. It's happening. Kickboxing, all that, KSW. Anyways. All right, AJ, Baby Shark, man. These are one of my favorite photos, is with the walk-off photos with the dub hand raised, man, with the deflated Maria Oliveira sitting there up off the ground, man. Tabitha Ricci looks like a problem in the 115-pound division, AJ. What do you think about this photo?
I love this photo, man. I'm a big Baby Shark fan. I'm following her on all the socials. I was watching the camp going forward, and she's getting it done smart because not only is she getting it done in the ring, but she's doing like outside promotion, man. She's making her shirt. She's making all the fight gear, the camp gear, all that stuff. And not only was she looking like a problem when her UFC debut came in, where she fought up a weight class of 125, she's a serious, real deal problem in the 115 going forward, man. I love it. Baby Shark holding the hand up. She knew she was getting that work in. And I'm pretty sure it was a decision win. I don't think she got the finish within the 3.
Yeah, it was a decision.
But she looked good. That control time was very impressive. Very impressive going forward. Great fight. Good photo. She's gonna be hanging this one up in the wall for sure.
Absolutely. So she's 1-1 in her UFC career. Got the first UFC win here on Saturday. And I will say, man, she is a little undersized for 115. She kind of joined the Kanako Muratas, who should probably be in like that 105 range. You know what I'm saying? But either way, listen, will, tenacity, grit, whatever you want to call it, man. Those takedowns were nasty by Tabitha Ricci. All right, AJ. This one is going to be a little bit of a downturn for the mood. What do you think is going on here, man? In the head of a Laureano Staropoli, man. This is in the corner. This is a photo of the man looking stoic, just looking like, all right, what the fuck do I got to do to close the distance on this man who has 6 inches in reach on me in Jamie Pickett? You know what I mean? Jamie Pickett is a tough outing, man. And this was a little bit of a lackluster fight in terms of, just back and forth violence because Staropoli was really looking to grapple the entire fight. But what do you think is going on in his head in this photo here, AJ?
Man, yeah, this you're right, Derek. This was a little bit lackluster of a fight. This is my sleeper. I thought this one was going to be a banger from the jump, but it was just Staropoli trying to close the distance, and I think that's what's going through his mind right now. Is like, bro, I've been putting this dude up against the cage the entire time, haven't been able to get the takedown, and Pickett's still landing some good shots on me going forward. You know, even against the cage, he's able to still hit me with some power. You can see he's like that thinking man that's on the sculpture of the thinking man. Dude's doing the exact same thing, eyes down, thinking like, bro, what in the world do I got to do to actually get this dude to the takedown? Because sure, in some of the judges' eyes, the pressure against the cage will get you the win, like we saw in the Sandman Dillashaw fight. Mm-hmm. But a lot of the times, that's not necessarily the case. And I think in this one right here, for sure, that's not the case going forward. There's some serious contemplation about what he has to do to get the win going. What do you think, Derek? What's going through his mind right there?
I agree with you, man. I just think it's that all the questions that you ask, man, the self-doubt, the, million thoughts racing through your mind when you just got a couple seconds and, I got to go back out there and I got to do it all over again, man. It's crazy because it's almost like they say you'll never be able to understand it. And I mean, I've never been able to understand it because I've never done it. I've never made the walk. I've never been in the cage like that, right? But they say it's almost like you have lifetimes that pass by in those 15 minutes that are happening that people will never truly understand. So it's probably just a whole lot of shit going on in there, man. But respect to anybody who laces them up, who steps up in the cage and handles business, man. And even shout out to Staropoli, man, because listen, fighting up a weight class is not an easy thing to do. And, hopefully he has some success here in the future, AJ. But let's move on to the next photo. This is just Bruce Leeroy throwing up, body triangle, elbows. I just thought it was a cool photo. Give me your take on it.
That is, man, that lead in elbow, dude, that's a great one. This fight, literally, you could have put this fight in a movie. And had given them backstories, and this would have been a crazy kung fu movie fight, bro. I love this one. It's a great photo to add, and that step in elbow is insane. And you could already see, if you look down a little bit from the elbow, he's already jumping on the back, putting the hooks in, bro. That shows the technique prowess of Alex Caceres going forward. Great photo, man.
They say he is a mixed martial artist right there. You know what I'm saying? He is a fundamental issue right there in a good way, nothing but the best way right there. All right, AJ, this one, just tell me what you think. What are you thinking with your Jai Herbert, man? Yeah, does Kamaworthy get the hand up and get the wrist to block it? But guess what? A wrist blocking a baseball bat doesn't really soften the blow too much, AJ. So what do you think is going through Jai Herbert's head? Do you think, perfect connection? I mean, I've never landed a flush head kick on somebody in my life before, so I'd have to imagine it feels good.
Yeah, there's nothing like feeling the shin crack somebody across, whether it's the arm or the face, preferably. I always freak out when people catch like a face kick with the toes or with the top of the foot. I remember in karate, man, you used to hit somebody with the top of your foot and it hurt. Like you don't want to throw that again. You break the top of your foot. That shit hurts a lot. But when you crack them with the shin, woo, boy, that shit feels so nice. And I'm sure Jai Herbert was feeling that exact same thing here. Because I don't know if this is the beginning of the end, but this is a great fight for Herbert.
Absolutely. And, it's kind of like they say, I don't know if you've ever done much baseball in your life, AJ, but, you hit it right there on the sweet spot and it just, that sound that it makes, it just cracks off the bat. That's what I'm talking about, man. All right, AJ, last couple of photos here. This felt like, this is a meme right here. It's Jason Herzog to Paulo Costa. I'm taking a point. Paulo Costa being like, what? No, you're not, no point, no, right? Craziest thing I've seen in quite some time, because Paulo Costa, probably drunk in the cage off of some wine over there, literally was talking about like, no, you're not, I didn't do it. Come on. It's like, you clearly, what was it, an eye poke or something like that, right? That was the situation. So you get the crazy eye poke, which was a very flush, extended fingers out eye poke. And then you tell Jason Herzog, no, you're not taking a point from me. Where does this man think that he has, it's like, this is the referee, bro. You got to be nice to these guys. In any sport, in any individual or team sport, you're always taught, don't piss off the ref. That's the number one thing you can do to fuck yourself over. So what do you think about that, AJ?
It blows my mind because, sure, you two are the ones in the cage, but it's really the ref's cage. Ultimately, at the end of the day, he's the boss. Like, that's how it goes. You always got to respect the ref. And I don't like the audacity of Paulo Costa to be like, no, I'm not giving you my hand. I'm not walking out there. You're not taking the point from me. Like, did he really think that was gonna prevent Herzog from taking a point?
Yeah.
I saw that and I was like, what the fuck is wrong with this cat, bro? Like that's some serious ego problems. Yeah, Paulo Costa on a whole new level, man. He thought he was Superman. Ain't work like that, brother.
Super something, man. Because all that happened right there was that. What do we say? Herzog, he just walked out and he's like, all right, 1 point. I don't give a fuck. You don't got to come out here with me, bro. It's all good. All right, AJ. And then this last photo right here, this is just, to me, a classic photo, man. This is going to go down in one of the collections of the year to go to show that this was a true brawl. This was a true back and forth affair that we had on our hands here, man. What do you think of the photo?
This is a good one. I don't know if you did any editing to that lighting, but that's some serious lighting right there, man. That looks good. The blood, the sweat, that kick is landing, but Marvin Vettori is just absolutely walking through it, throwing some power right there. And Paulo Costa, good high guard. Got to look good, man. You got to love it. Abs are popping. This is a really good photo right here.
Yeah, crazy. Abs are popping. The man walked in the cage at like 2:30. You know what I'm saying? And them abs is just going. So it's like, goddamn, an Adonis made of steel over there. All right, AJ. Enough of that, man. Negumereanu, he gets a TKO round 1 victory over Hurricane Ike Villanueva, man. And he did it in nasty fashion, dude. A couple supposedly back-of-the-head shots, man. I watched it back, and there looked to be a couple of things there, but not enough to overturn a victory. Nothing that was like a blatant, I'm just aiming for the back of your head, because that is a serious affair, man. I don't know if you've ever been hit in the back of the head, but you will get fucked up, and you can definitely damage your brain permanently, taking hits like that to the head. But what's important here is that I thought Negumereanu was going to have to walk through 3 rounds of punches from Hurricane Ike before he was finally able to get a stoppage. He earns his first KO win since 2017, moves to 2-1 in the UFC, and is now on a 2-fight win streak. What did you think of this fight, AJ?
Man, I picked Ike on this one. Instantly regretted it when I saw what was going on, because Negumereanu absolutely ran through Villanueva, man. Negumereanu has this dangerous fan-friendly style. Don't get me wrong. If you're a fan of striking, you love this guy, because he's just throwing heat, head up. Doesn't matter, bro. He's real stiff. Like he has zero of that like bounce up and under like we like to see, head movement. He's down just to stand and trade, just like an old school boxer, bro. This dude, he's very, very fun to watch. It's going to be interesting to see who they pair him up with next, because if you have some power, you have some ground game, it's going to be easy to take this guy down. But man, Negumereanu right off the jump was just landing straight heat. They were trading. This is a really good fight if you're a big fan of standing and trading. And not a good look for Ike, man. Not a good look for Ike Villanueva. He was able to not get it done. And really, man, Negumereanu walked him down, landed some serious power shots. And the first one that dropped him might have been the only one where I was like, oh, that was kind of in the back of the head. But he still hit him, wrist touch the ear. That's what you want, is put him out, man. It was a really good fight for Negumereanu.
They say that's the key indicator right there. As long as the hand, the wrist, something is touching the ear, you're in the clear. No pun intended, no rhyme intended right there. But you feel me what I'm saying right there. Huge win for Negumereanu, man. I will say this. I think the man, if he racks up a couple more big wins like this, I'm talking in impressive fashion, I wouldn't be surprised to see him top 20 here in the near future. But Ike Villanueva, I just need your opinion on this one, man. I don't know if he signed a new deal recently, but that's a lot of losses, you know what I mean, coming. He's only got one win, and that was against Vinicius Moraes or something like that, right? Another fighter who had like almost no success in the UFC. So I'm not going to say that Villanueva he doesn't have the chops to be in the UFC. That's not what I'm saying whatsoever, because the man is very impressive on the feet, dude. His boxing is incredible, but maybe that's where we should be seeing it at. Maybe in a boxing ring, you know what I mean? Maybe bare knuckle, and no disrespect, but what do you think when you see some of these fighters not able to put it together in its entirety of mixed martial arts, but you see him have like very good stand-up? What do you think about that? Do you ever promote or suggest that maybe a career change should happen? A career shift, not a change. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. And I definitely think you do it before they do it for you.
Yeah.
Before the UFC decides, all right, bro, you're cut. You got to go somewhere else. I think you think, all right, either you get like Jessica Rose Clark and go to the DC Wrestling Academy and get some work in with one of the greats, or you just change it up and go, because bare knuckle boxing, you can make some serious money there, but it is very dangerous. It is a crazy sport. You can get cut up pretty fierce. But if you got hands like Villanueva, which he does, and he's coming from heavyweight down, so he's making the transition, he's doing the work. But it's crazy to see when fighters are this talented and at this level, that they're not full well-rounded. Like, you would think that you'd be in the gym every single day working on the stuff that isn't your best outfit, but it feels like he's just in there like, yo, I like trading hands. Let's just work the mitts. Let's work the heavy bag. But it's not a good look when literally the first word is mixed of the martial arts.
Yeah.
You gotta add in all the components going forward, and Ike Villanueva just did not have it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I will say he trains out of 4-ounce Fight Club under crew Bob Perez, man. So it's a really good camp. So I don't know I'm sure he's putting in the work, man. You could see he looked slim. He looked ready to go. His hands look sharp. It's just not finding the success, I guess, what it comes down to. So maybe even seeing him in a Bellator against, you know what I mean, not the top of the top type of talent. I mean, Negumereanu is a fucking killer, bro. You know what I mean? The man has one loss on his, 12 career fights, 11 career fights or whatever. So, regardless, big win for Negumereanu. And hopefully, AJ, we get to see Ike Villanueva rack up another win in the UFC. I'm a big fan of the guy, man. So that's where it comes from. It comes out of just like, I want to see a win. So, all right, man. I'm going to pull this up real fast before we talk about the next one. I guess I could pull this up too. This is Francisco Trinaldo versus Dwight Grant. And I guess, AJ, because I didn't see it this way, but according to the verdict, according to the global scorecard, which is what we use these things for to kind of get an assessment, a baseline of where we should be at, verdict scored this fight an even draw, 28.04 to 28.04 for Charnado and Grant. However, when we talk about a split decision that took place because of a point that was taken away because of an eye poke from Charnado to Grant, I believe, if I'm pretty sure, it was like a little more decisive than that. I don't have the numbers off the top of my head, but it was like a 30-27. I'm pretty sure that they gave to Charnado. That was the deciding factor. Listen, man, I can't help but to root for Dwight Grant. I'm a big fan of the guy. I'm just not seeing the wacky, the wonky style have its success in the octagon, right? And Charnado, he did what Andrei Arlovsky basically just did to Felipe, right? Where he just did the veteran thing. He just stayed busy, stayed on the volume, just kept on him, disrupted timing, disrupted rhythm. What do you think about this verdict scorecard? Did you see it that way? And then let's talk about the performance, man.
Yeah, it's hard because this one, man, Trinaldo was literally just walking down the entire time while Grant was trying to get the counter shots. And that wonky style works if you can connect. Yeah. And Grant just wasn't connecting off the back foot. It's hard to see. Man, this one, I actually had to go back and rewatch this one because I was like, how in the world did this dude still win? And sometimes the judges just give it to you off of pressure. If you're just controlling the pressure and there's not really many big shots landed the entire time, they'll give it to you. They'll give you the round 10-9 like that. But I feel like he just wasn't landing. He was landing more. He was more efficient. He had the more volume. But Grant, I felt like had the more impactful shots going forward. And I had this one scored for Grant as well. I didn't think he had it. Don't get me wrong. I do think Trinaldo won a couple of the rounds. I think he definitely won the first one, but I gave the second and the third, especially with a point deduction, to Grant going forward. So I had a 29-28. 29-27, however you score that, math. But yeah, man, this was crazy. It's crazy to see. And I guess, verdicts saw it the same way, but yeah, man, judges are a different thing.
Absolutely, man. And that's kind of the thing with Dwight Grant is what you'll see a lot of the times is I don't think it's a good optic for the judges when you're skating across the cage, when you're being forced with the pressure so much to where you're running into the cage and you don't even notice. You're like, oh shit, the cage, you know what I'm saying? And you keep going around. So yeah, Charnado, man. But like I said, it's just that veteran IQ. The man is like 42, 43 years old. So it's another ageless wonder we have here where I'm like, listen, man, you got the win over Jay Herbert. I don't know if he dropped his last one or not, or if he's coming off of that win. But either way, he's just dismantling these young guns like it's nobody's business, man. And Dwight Grant, he's 37. He's not a young gun, but I will say he's a prospect that people have a lot of high hopes for. So this is also the first win for Charnado at welterweight, man. This dude had a long storied career, a lot of success at lightweight in the UFC and in MMA in general, but moves to 17-7 in the UFC, AJ. That's nearing the 2021 wins that the Jim Millers of the world have, of the Tim Elliott's and things of that nature. So shout out to Masarenduba, man. Francisco Trinaldo. We can move on to the next one. All right, AJ. We get some chimes in from Sasha Bear over there. You know what I mean? She's just letting them know, man. Hey, yeah, there we go. Right. All right, man. Bruce Leeroy. He got the second round submission win over Sting, Seungwoo Choi, man. AJ, we had talked about it. This is a performance of the night winning type of performance for Bruce Leeroy, but let's talk about him almost having the fight ended because Choi put that power on him, right? So what was it, a right hand? Was it a stiff cross or something that dropped Caceres? And then what happened after that? Was it a nut shot? Was it an eye poke? What happened?
It was a knee to the face, brother.
Oh, that's right. That's right. He gave him the Peter Yan, Aljo Sterling, two hands behind the back of the head, knee to the face. And that, honestly, AJ, I don't want to say this because at this point it seems like Caceres probably would have won either way, just being a better overall mixed martial artist. But that cemented Caceres and the momentum shifting right there because Choi had him hurt, man. He had him on Queer Street, bro. It was getting weird for him. And then you get that knee to the face. So first off, AJ, two-part question. Talk about how impactful that knee was to the result of the fight. And second, is this just looking worse and worse for Aljo Sterling, bro? You know what I mean? Because it's like, damn, Choi took that no problem. Or Caceres took that no problem. And he came back and he won the fight. You know what I mean? But, like, you know, when Sterling, who took a very similar looking knee, was basically passed out on the canvas, you know what I mean, after, like, I don't know. I don't want to make light of anyone's injury, but I'm just saying it just feels like it's getting more meme-worthy as every week passes. So, you know, tell me what you think.
Yeah, man, that knee, I felt like that knee was the shift of it. Because if he wouldn't have landed the knee and if he would have just stepped back and hit him with an uppercut or something, that was it, man. Yeah. Alex Caceres even said it himself. It was a flash knockout. And if you've ever been hit with something like that, where you just, go back and you see a flash, you have no idea what hit you, no idea how to change it. And it was in the middle of the round. So he would have easily thrown that right leg again and caught another stiff right down the pipe. Very, very impactful part of the fight. And it really changed the tide because you can only see, it was in what I have in my notes, man, this was fun versus like a serious intent fighter. And the second Choi landed that knee, he was going out like very respectful, like giving him the hands, like, I'm so sorry, going forward. And the demeanor kind of changed a little bit. So a serious turning of the tide. And to answer the second part, yeah, man, this is looking even worse for Aljo Sterling. Because at first, when I saw it happen, I thought Choi hit Caceres with like the meat, the middle of his leg, like the thigh area. So I was like, oh, it's not that bad of a knee. He didn't catch him at the point. And then they showed the other side, the other perspective of their bodies. And homeboy caught him flush on the chin, literally put him out, had him going, neck stiffed, everything like that. It was a crazy one. And good respect to Herzog for calling, like, took timing out real quick. And what I thought was crazy, man, they give you a math test. Literally, it's a simple multiplication, 8 times 3, whatever it was. But like, you give me that in the middle of the fight, I might get that wrong just normally, but a pre-fight, like the adrenaline's going, I might 17, like just fucking, I don't know, man. Like that's a crazy thing that they do. But yeah, it was a wild knee, and it's just making Aljo look worse. Because I mean, and like you said, not to disrespect anybody's injuries, but Aljo like rolled around, had the eyes open a couple times, like really hamming it up. And I think it's just because he saw his way out of the fight. And sometimes that's what dictates a true fighter versus somebody who's, not necessarily, I don't mean to disrespect it, not say Aljo's a true fighter, because he is. He's been in there. He's serious. He's a real deal. He's a real deal. But Alex Caceres proved that it's just levels to that kind of game right there, man. And Alex Caceres didn't see his way out, even though he took a mean right hand.
No, I'm with you, man. And yeah, absolutely. It goes without saying. Aljamain Sterling is clearly he is a real deal fighter. The man is a champion right now, whether that's in real life or on paper, regardless. No, jokes aside, the man is a legit talent and one of the best to do it in the world. No disrespect whatsoever. But for Alex Caceres, it is that Bushido mixed martial arts mentality, right? It's that he catches the knee to the face, looks over at Choi, bows to him, right? And is like, all right, what's up? You know what I'm saying? Like, let's get it, And I respect that because, in jiu-jitsu, AJ, one of the biggest things that they teach you is respect to have in the gym. Whether you're talking to your professors, whether you're talking to any of your teammates, any of that stuff, it's all about the respect, right? So yeah, we bow when we greet each other, we bow to each other. We do a special little handshake and whatnot. Every time that we're, about to roll or do this, man, it's always about that respect. And whether you're pissed off or you just lost, you just got tapped, you got your arm fucked up, whatever, it's always the, hey man, respect, you know what I mean? Like, no, we're teammates, man. We're not trying to hurt each other. Now, this is different because they are trying to hurt each other, but I do think that they both understand in the grand scheme of things, even though this is an international affair, right? You got an American versus a South Korean, they're still saying, together, we are martial arts brothers. You know what I mean? We are in this as martial artists. So I saw that stand out, and that's what won me over even more. What made me want to have Caceres as my fighter of the night, just because he goes to show, man, you don't have to be the most popular dude. You don't have to talk a bunch of mess. You don't have to be the flashiest guy. your performance speaks for itself, your results speak for themselves, and at the end of the day, your character speaks for itself. So shout out to Bruce Leeroy. That was a huge win. Sent Seungwoo Choi back in the queue for a little bit, man. You know what I mean? And we would be talking about Choi here in that potential top 15 if it wasn't for Caceres playing spoiler. And Caceres was a plus 240 underdog at open. So let's just say, man, we got to stop doubting Bruce Leeroy. We'll leave it at that, right? All right, AJ. In what is unfortunately probably one of the most lackluster fights on the main card, Jessica Rose Clark gets a demolition decision win against Jocelyn Edwards. But I guess we can't really call it a demolition. We can call it just a very slow burn, unanimous decision win against Jocelyn Edwards, man. She laid and prayed for 3 rounds, and this was truly the definition of lay and pray. Now, I'm not mad because Jessica Rose Clark, this is her first fight back in nearly 13 months since having ACL surgery. So you need the win because guess what's worse than a boring win? A loss, right? So, you know what I mean? You got to stay in the win column. Fuck the fans. Fuck what anybody else is saying. But the thing that stood out to me, AJ, is that I knew Jocelyn Edwards was nice on the feet, right? We already knew that. That was her one chance of winning. Jessica Rose Clark has good Muay Thai, solid striking. What surprised me is that Jessica Rose Clark felt like one shot from Edwards and said, oh, no. We're wrestling, dude. Like, we're not standing up. I'm not fighting this fight with you. So I'm like, yo, you improved and you grew in your wrestling, but did you take a step back in the striking? Because, you know what I mean? Like, I get you want to like sit there and you want to test what your newfound skills, but I was expecting a better showing on the feet against Edwards. What do you think about that, AJ?
I would agree with you. I don't know if she took a step back or if Jocelyn Edwards is just that much better on the feet, but Jessica Rose Clark caught one, I believe it was a right hand down the pipe. She like looked at her like, oh, okay, whoop. Yep. We're going under. We're shooting this double leg. We're pressing up against the fans. This is it. I'm doing what the game plan was. Mm-hmm. And I honestly think it was just a game plan thing. They said, yo, this girl's long. She's lanky. She hits hard. Let's just duck under one of these rights and just shoot a double leg. We might, get it done easiest way because option number one or most, the priority number one is get the win regardless, however it comes. I was a little, not necessarily disappointed, but taken back by this fight because Jocelyn Edwards was talking mad smack in the beginning. She's like, I need to make this one vicious. I need, I want violence here. I need to be an Australian. I need to, talking all this smack. I thought this was going to be a bloody win. And it was very much a lay and pray. And if I talk shit about Brunson, I got to talk a little bit of shit about Jessica Rose Clark because even though I needed this win for the record, man, it was very boring. It was very much a lay and pray hump fest. And, a win is a win is a win, but it was still a very boring win. And it's a little worse for Edwards because it was a very boring loss. So, she really showed her biggest holes in the game of putting her guard up the entire time. And even on the, we've said it here a lot. They said it on the broadcast. The second that guard stays closed, it's just a stalling tactic, which actually worked a couple times for no nonsense, man. Keith Peterson. Yeah, Keith Peterson. He even stood him up a couple times where he's like, all right, this is just getting boring, guys. Like, gotta cut this shit out. Like, work or I'm gonna stand you up. And Jessica Rose Clark, every single time they stood up, she just took her down. So, yeah, a little bit game plan worthy. Yeah. Was it a win? Yeah. Was it what we wanted to see? Not so much.
Yeah, it's not going to win you any fans, but it's going to get you in the right direction and get you another fight that gives you the potential then to win over the fans again. Since this is such a what have you done for me lately sport, we cannot forget Jessica Rose Clark because she's a fan favorite, man. She brings it. Yeah, maybe she wasn't as intense this fight. That's all right. It was her first fight back, so that's what I'm saying. I'm not mad. Jocelyn Edwards, though, man, one of our favorite prospects to come up in here to try to make it happen. I think she has one win in the UFC so far, maybe two, but I'm pretty sure it's one. It's tough, man. It's tough when you have such a clear hole in your game. This is basically she needs to take a trip to Hendrickstan, go to Dagestan, go to wherever you need to go, DC Wrestling Academy, get some lessons from Jessica Rose Clark. Like, it doesn't matter. But if she was able to stuff a takedown, man, she'd be a dangerous fighter. She'd be such a dangerous fighter. But that's the thing. Mixed martial arts, man. You got to bring it. You can't. So, this is also what goes to show when fighters are getting their record kind of padded up in the regionals when they're knocking everybody out in the first round. That's what was one of my things coming when she came into the UFC. I was like, dude, she's so dangerous. Dude, look at all these knockouts she has. None of these female fighters have knockouts like that. Well, guess what? This is against the regionals. You get to the big show, yeah, those knockouts aren't there anymore. So I'm expecting big things from Jocelyn Edwards. She's very young in her career, but this was a big win, a must-win for Jessica Rose Clark, and you had to do what you had to do, man. We'll leave it at that, man. Not an upset, and Jessica Rose Clark moves to 4-2 in the UFC, 2-fight win streak, and dude, over 10 minutes of control time. So yeah, real hump fest that you had right there. All right, AJ. So this photo here, Goes to show the inconclusive nature of our co-main event. However, it's something to talk about nonetheless, man. I'm going to bring up verdict one more time. So, right here in our majority draw, verdict scores the fight 28-77. That is the global scorecard in favor of Grant Dawson, 27.91 for Ricky Guillen. Now, I'm not going to lie to you, AJ. Ricky Guillen got dominated for the first 2 rounds of this fight. It was nonstop pressure from Grant Dawson, but just like the broadcast said it, just like you could tell from seeing a million shots time and time again after Dawson, you're like, dude, this dude's going to get tired. Like, you can't just keep doing this. Like, it doesn't matter how in shape you are. You can't keep doing this. Come round 3, Ricky Guillen has his opportunity, tries to work some submissions. Last 10 seconds of the fight, man, he has Dawson in something, whatever you want to call it, has him in something. If only there was 10 more seconds left, Dawson would have been unconscious. However, AJ, the big thing was that at the end of round 3, Dawson, who was probably just exhausted, man, he gave it everything. He left it all in the cage. Got up a little slow. Probably it was a little phasey. Maybe he was seeing a couple, when the, how would you say, it's like static. You start to see the static pop up when you start to go into sleep, right? Maybe he got a little bit of that going, and he's like, oh, I just want to lay back down real fast, man. I'm tired. I'm exhausted, right? However, people are looking at that, and they're saying the judges looked at that as more or less of the equivalent of someone getting a knockdown on a fighter. So when Grant Dawson wasn't able to answer the bell at the end of round 3, the judges might have said, okay, 10-8, majority draw. So, controversy, right? Robbery? I don't know. You tell me, AJ. We saw a lot of value in Ricky Guillen. We were 15 seconds, 10 seconds maybe away from that being realized, actualized. So, we were on the right track. That wasn't very far. There was a reason why we were hyped on Ricky Guillen. But overall, AJ, give me your assessment on this whole situation.
Yeah, absolute domination by Grant Dawson on this one. And yeah, like you said, man, just split second away. I watched this fight back again this morning. And right when that bell rings, Ricky Guillen lets go of the submission attempt. And you see Grant Dawson almost fall forward. And it looks like he wakes up, like the blood finally was able to get back to his head. And then that's when he was like, oh, okay. Ooh, let me lay back. Let me catch my breath. Yeah. But the worst part is when you're on the ground laying back like that and your opponent's pointing down at you saying, yo, he's out. Yeah. Homeboy is done. Look at him. Yeah, right. Like hitting the smoky moment. Like, you got knocked the fuck out. He's looking over you pointing like, look at him. He's out. Ref, come on. Yeah, that's, I think, and they're definitely getting a little bit more liberal with the 10-8s. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of sometimes where I'll see a 10-8 and I'm like, what? How in the world is this guy getting scored that? But the judges are the judges. That's what it is. Yeah, good fight though. I mean, Grant Dawson, no matter how much your gas tank is, you shoot 300 takedown attempts. Yeah, you're gonna get tired, and that's really what it was. He was gassed out. Man, crazy that it ended up in a draw because I had it scored the same way verdict does, man. 2-1, 29-28. It was crazy to see that they gave him a 10-8. And I guess the optics are there for it, but it's crazy, man. Crazy that, and like we said before, do none of them get their win bonus? Because technically they didn't win.
No, so yeah, they don't. So let me ask you this though, AJ, what lesson was learned for Grant Dawson here? I'm sure he's never going to make this mistake again. Like this, he's basically guaranteed a win. He was like, all right, I got the win. Like I'm up 2 rounds. He's not going to finish me. I'm good. And then when you don't get your hand, well, I guess when both of you get your hand raised, then it's like, okay, I can't make this mistake ever again. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just if you get him on the ground, get the finish, or start training for 5-round fights. Because that's insane. We've seen some fighters do it where they can literally just ground attack all day long and get it done. But man, Ricky Guillen is another animal, man. We were talking about it on the pre-show. He's another animal, and that's what really made the difference on this one with the grit that Guillen had and how hard Dawson had to work. That gas tank was just drawn. It was like you're just pumping full, foot to pedal or pedal to the metal, like they say, man, and just Grant Dawson, not enough in the tank.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, man. And I don't know if you've ever watched like wrestling matches. I'm talking about real wrestling, not like pro wrestling, like freestyle wrestling competitions, man. These athletes are so explosive, man. Come the end of their matches, they are dog shit tired every time. So it's like, why would it be any different in MMA where you're also striking on top of the wrestling? You know what I'm saying? So this was an interesting game plan for Grant Dawson, man. But I will say that I think he's going to be more motivated than ever. Ricky Guillen should have a lot of bump to his stock. I was very surprised to see plus 300 underdog right there because, like I said, he was this close, dude. This close from actualizing that. So that was a long shot play, man. So you heard it here first, folks. But all right, AJ. Marvin Vettori, let's talk about this. Best chin in the game right now, right? Am I right or am I wrong right there? At least top 3 chins. I guess Ngannou is probably number 1 because I don't think the man has even come the closest to even tad hurt, right? Like never. When Stipe thought he had him hurt, Francis even said in the post-fight presser, he was all like, yeah, he walked forward like he thought he had me hurt or something. I don't know. It was weird, so I just knocked him out. You know what I'm saying? So Marvin Vettori, though, he ate flush head kicks. Luckily, he's a southpaw or else his liver probably would be in critical damage mode right now because Costa was firing body kicks all day long. What do you think about Marvin Vettori's performance, AJ?
Man, really good. I love us standing and trading Vettori, man. Yeah. This was awesome to see. And yeah, probably if not one of the best, if not the best chin in the game, one of the best, and by far one of the best body shot takers in the game. Yeah. You know, that bread basket is made of iron, bro. That ain't no wicker over there. That's some iron that he has protecting his inner organs. Because Paulo Costa was firing. There was a couple times where he hit him and you could hear bow, like a solid smack. Not the smack we're used to hearing, like if you just hit skin, but like a solid thunderous bow, man. It was a crazy fight. Really good fight, actually. A lot better than I was expecting. I was expecting Vettori to come in and wrestle a little bit. Man, he said, fuck that. I'm going to punish this cat. I was, they earned a lot of respect in my book for both of these fighters, to be honest, man. And like I said, Paulo Costa just on a whole nother mental level. I definitely think this dude, he has some serious problems. He needs like a mental coach to get him. Not necessarily. I like the ego he has because you need that in there to be a true warrior. But a little bit of that humble Bushido, like we're talking about, because you need the yin and the yang. You need both sides to be able to be the true, up there upper echelon of fighters. It was crazy, man. And Vettori didn't even flinch when he was getting hit with those kicks, man. That was crazy. He started to not walk through them as much towards the end, for sure. But I mean, how many kicks can you really take? The lesser man would have gone down very fast. So yeah, all credit to both of these fighters, man.
No, absolutely, man. It's funny because I think Bisping made the reference. He says when Costa hits Vettori, he was like, that sound that he makes, he says, you hear that flush on Thai pads. You're not supposed to hear that on the human body. That's not supposed to happen, man. So yeah, Costa was firing away. Vettori, the one thing I will say about him, man, is that he earned a lot of respect from a lot of people and how quickly you go from heel to hero, right? But he said it in the post-fight presser himself. He was like, just how quickly they switched on me, they could switch again. So I really don't care about it. And he shouldn't, because Costa just was so much of a heel in this matchup that he made people like Marvin Vettori. Let's not forget, Marvin Vettori was hated, you know what I mean, because of what he did against Israel Adesanya, the trash talk for Kevin Holland, all that, man. Those were the good guys. He was on the tail end. Now he's the good guy. But I'll tell you, I said this in the pre-fight, I've never failed to recognize that Marvin Vettori is a fighter's fighter. He is a game motherfucker. He is a BMF. Give him the belt. Because he doesn't give a fuck. He's at 20 pounds up. I don't give a fuck. You want this? It's funny. They're all like, man, he was saying in the post-fight presser, he was like, Costa says, if you take too much of my purse, I'm out. If you make me cut too much weight, I'm out. Like, he was basically threatening the whole time, like, well, we'll just, both of us get no pay. How about that? Fuck it. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was being, like, trying to have the leverage, being an asshole about it, right? So what does Marvin Vettori do? He was all in there asking him about the purse. He was all like, so, you didn't want to, take more from the purse. You didn't want to negotiate and ask for more from his purse. He was like, man, fuck it. He's not even making that much money anyways, man. I don't give a fuck. Like, fuck that. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, that's hilarious right there. Because Marvin Vettori is basically like Paulo Costa, a.k.a. he's basically saying, like, this dude's a scrub, man. I'm making more money than he is. I'm taking his little shitty purse, whatever. I got the win. I embarrassed the man. What else can you do? He took his number. He demoralized the man. Back-to-back losses for the first time in the man's career. And, this was a dude who he went and he showed him. He says, you got 20 pounds on me, brother, and you still not able to hurt me in the slightest bit. I'm not going to lie, AJ. Come round 5, Costa was beating the brakes off of Vettori. Come round 5, man. That round 5 was a little interesting. But this is a Marvin Vettori who basically walked through everything. The striking was looking a lot better. But then again, it's easy to look better when you're not fighting Israel Adesanya, right? I mean, I feel like that just goes to show this is a reflection of how good the last stylebender truly is, man. Finishes Costa, makes Vettori. I think Vettori landed more like in the first round against Costa, or the first 2 rounds against Costa, than he did in the entire 5 rounds against Adesanya. So we'll just leave that for what it's worth. We're not talking about Izzy right now, but Vettori is 3. 3 of his last 5 have come via decision. His last 5 wins. He is 8-3-1 in the UFC, man, and this is a big win, a much needed win right here, man. Very chalky performance of the night victory. But let's talk about the future of Paulo Costa, AJ. Word on the street, according to Dana White, is that Paulo Costa, Borrachinha, his future lies at 205 pounds. However, Costa says, yeah, I want to stay at 185 for a while, get the belt, and then I'll move up. No big deal, you know. So do we need to hire the same person for Deontay Wilder and Paulo Costa to get them to, like, accept some losses and have a little respect? I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, man, I think we do, man. Paulo Costa really showed that he's an absolute dirtbag right here. He made it hard. Like, you really suck. Yeah, sure, make it hard for your opponent all day long. Yeah, that by far, like, make it very difficult then. But if you're making it difficult for the help, fuck you. Like, man, you piece of shit out there. And even Dana White said, he was like, he made it even hard, not only hard for me, but he made it hard for my employees. Like, you're just being just disrespectful to everybody, man. Yeah, get out of here. I love the fact that and a little bit of the media can go a little bit far where they're, the people passing back and forth, the trash talk. They're snitching a little bit. I guess it's their job. You know what? It is what it is. But they were telling Dana White, oh, he just told Megan Levy that he's still in the 185. And Dana White's like, what?
Yeah.
I guess we'll see about this. Mm-hmm. Like, you going against Uncle Dana. Yeah, Paulo Costa is going to be fine at 205 from now on. Yeah, he even said it. He was like, we tell them where to fight. That's what it is.
Well, that's the thing, man. And that's the thing that it's like, it's the, how would you say, open secret in MMA, in the UFC, is that it's a dictatorship, bro. You know what I mean? This isn't boxing where you have your promoter and your negotiator. It's Dana White, Sean Shelby, Mick Maynard. They will tell you where you're fighting at, who you're fighting against. You have no say in this, or else you can get the fuck out. And that's basically how they look at it, because the product, like I said time and time again, is the UFC. They say, what is the event name? UFC Vegas 41. Then you get Costa versus Vettori. Like, you can almost not name it at all and just be like, oh, UFC Vegas 41, and people will tune in just because, oh, UFC card, okay, awesome. You know what I mean? So I'm not trying to disrespect the fighters here, but I'm saying if we're being logical, if we're being realistic about this, we should understand that the value comes in the promotion, which is why you have people who are like begging on Dana White Contender Series, please pick me. You know what I mean? It's damn near like how would you say? It's like some high school fucking pick me, I don't want to be picked last type shit. You know, it's kind of like that, man. And it sucks that it has to be that way, but because there's no union, because MMA is such a new sport relatively compared to other sports, man, this is just how it is for right now. There's very little control from the fighters unless you're Conor McGregor, right? The Diaz brothers or whatever, something like that, where you're bringing in so much money. So many people are buying your pay-per-views. But with that being said, man, Paulo Costa, this is the last thing that I want to talk about regarding this fighter, today at least, AJ. Where does a man go who was on top of the world, a future champion, destroying everybody, who's 12-0 on top of the world, to 12-2, right? Or I guess 13-1, 13-2, right? 13-2, back-to-back losses. You get finished by Adesanya. You lose a decision to Vettori, which could be more demoralizing because there was nothing you could do. You dispute the loss. He says, yeah, I think I won the fight. And it's like, on whose scorecard, first off? But anyways, where do we go with a man like this, man? Mentally, I just think that, like, even at 205, if you cannot accept these losses, this is going to be a very tragic turn to what was a very bright career for Paulo Costa. What do you think?
I think the biggest thing that Paulo Costa needs to do is get away from his own camp. He fights out of his own Borrachinha camp and all that stuff. He needs to get the yes men away from him and get some real deal training for some real deal killers out there. Yeah. Get some people who are going to teach him no. Teach him, he's right now he's looking like a spoiled child that he's having his bottle taken away from, where the mom just keeps, babying him. Like, he needs to stop getting babied and realize this is a sport of, absolute savagery and get things going, man. He needs to not be the one who's in charge of everything and actually needs to take over. And I do think both mindsets are good. You need to be the killer in there. You need to be the top dog, but you also need to be humble and be able to have things going for you both ways, man. It's crazy to see that, like I said, he's fighting out of his own camp and everyone's just a yes man to him. And the fact that he even thought that, one, he can have the ref not take a point away from him, as well as think he won the fight and by any means. And he went back to his corner and they're like, no, you're winning, you're doing it. Bro, it's just a bad look. Like I said, he looks like a crying, spoiled kid. Bad look for him. I think he needs to just get away from all the stuff he's doing now, whether it's in 185 or 205. I think he's going to be fighting out at 205. But regardless, I think the camp needs to change. The mentality needs to change. It needs a mental coach to teach him, bro. It's a loss is fine. A loss is what it is. We all lose in something, but it's about how you handle the loss, turning it into a lesson and growing from that and not letting it affect you. Because if he keeps the same mindset and the same aspects he has going right now, it's just going to be more L's to come, and it's going to be a very big spiral downward going forward, man. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think that he needs to follow the approach of, who was it? Was it Winklejohn? I think it might have been Winklejohn. who was like, yeah, John Jones, you can't come back to, you know what I mean? You can't come back to Jackson Wink, you know what I mean? I'm sorry, dude. Until you get your drinking shit together and you fix all your problems, like, you can't come back. And I think he needs somebody to step up like that for him. Unfortunately, even to this day, AJ, even though therapy and seeking treatment for mental health is so much more destigmatized than it was 10 years ago, you know what I mean? Even 5 years ago, it's still a pretty big stigma. And I think a lot of people do feel weak mentally or physically if they have to go get help because they are somewhat broken. But guess what? We are all broken. We are all flawed. We all have issues, and we all need to get the help that we need. And it should be unabashed, right? It should be unapologetic. You should say, fuck it, I need to go get help, and I'm man enough to go and seek that out. To me, that's more cojones, is to seek it out as opposed to I never will, and I will bash it and I will downplay it because I'm too embarrassed to get it. Oftentimes, you often hear people, right, who are going to talk shit on something. Why do they talk shit about it? Because they're into it secretly, but they don't think it's cool or whatnot, so they need to look cool. So listen, man, at the end of the day, we've talked a lot about Paulo Costa. This was a huge win for Marvin Vettori. I still feel the same. Sentiment's still the same. He's still in the Derek Brunson camp for me. You know what I mean? Big win. I appreciate it. This was a big test. We needed to see it. And it is clear because Marvin Vettori said, he said, yeah, me and Izzy are going to probably fight 3, 4, 5 times by the time it's all said and done. Yeah, I don't know about that. I'll just leave it at that. We'll see. I'll leave it up for future interpretation, but we'll leave it at that. All right, AJ. So that is the matchmaking, folks. Or not the matchmaking. That is the recap. Now let's head on to some matchmaking, AJ. And of course, drop a like, subscribe, the whole entire 9. If you're watching right now and you're part of the 80+% people who watch our videos every single week without subscribing, just do us a favor. Just hit the subscribe button. Maybe the little yellow notification icon to let you know when we drop in videos. Mondays and Fridays, 8 a.m. Short clips at noon on Mondays and Fridays. It's pretty simple right there. BloodyWaterPodcast.com. All the good stuff. You can check out our rankings that we hit on in our 60-second rankings review at the website at bloodywaterpodcast.com, right? Right. All right. Enough said. All right, AJ. Matchmaking. I think we can knock through these ones pretty quickly, but let's start off with the light heavyweight matchup. Negumereanu, he came in about 43. I think he could jump up maybe about 3 spots because Villanueva was ranked number 75, so he was fighting a little backwards right there, but I got 2 disgusting, nasty matchups that either way, AJ, it's going to be a fun fight. So who do you have personally, my man? Who's next for Negumereanu?
Yeah, man, I wanted to see somebody with some serious real deal power going forward, not just, punches and bunches, or somebody with a ground game, but I don't want to feed him to the dogs yet. I still think he needs a little bit of building up. I don't want to give him top 15, top 20, but I want to see him again. Still, I said I don't want to feed him to the dogs, but there's a real deal killer that I'm laying it up against, man. I'm going William Knight, man, the nightmare, bro. This dude, don't get me wrong. I think Negumereanu needs to be in there with some serious contenders because he's a real deal problem, but I don't want to send him up to the top. And William Knight is like 3 spots right above, something right there. So he's in a rough spot, man. William Knight is an absolute monster. Who you going against?
Well, it's funny because I had 2 options and Knight was one of them. And what I put next to it, I said granite chin versus ridiculous power. That's basically my assessment right there. But if we're not going Knight, I want to say, hey, listen, let's feed him to him. Let's do it. Number 38 ranked Tafanda Don Nchukwi. Listen, man, 6-1. He's on 1 fight win streak, right? Real test. I just said it's a real test in terms of the striking and grappling against a bigger, stronger opponent who has actual traction to his name right now. So if Negumereanu wants to skip the queue a little bit, this is a matchup to make because for Nchukwi, so listen, man, I know you were saying something about the grappling of Negumereanu, but the dude can wrestle too, man. Like, he's not just a puncher. Like, he can wrestle too. So that's where it's interesting because Tafan is a big man. And, I mean, aside from Jun Young Park, no one has been able to just out-wrestle him clearly and plainly like that. So either one of those will be fun. William Knight or Tafan Nchukwi, man, I would love to see either one of those matchups. All right, AJ. Francisco Trinaldo, Masa Renduba. Come on, number 56. He goes up about 3 spots because Dwight Grant was ranked about 60. I got one name right here that I just think personally makes the most sense. It's a young prospect, and I'm going to start off, AJ. Number 52 ranked Carlston Harris, man. He's 17-4, 5-fight win streak. And he's not only on a 5-fight win streak, he's on a 5-5 win/finish streak. So he's stopping everybody, man. He he hasn't registered a decision since 2017. And against Trinaldo, I mean, listen, it's an OG veteran, so it's going to be a lot harder to do that against a vet like Trinaldo. But at the same time, this is the philosophy that I'm tried and true, and I will continue to stick to it, AJ. You're an OG killing a game. All right, you got to fight the next young up-and-comer who is trying to make his name. And what better to boost your career if you're young than to beat the gatekeeper, to beat the OG veteran? What better name to stay relevant than to beat the young gun who is really trying to make a name? So what do you think about that one, and who do you have, AJ?
Yeah, I like the Carlston Harris pick, man. It's a good one. I think the same thing. We need to pair up these old dogs that are still, getting it done by decision, know how to be the wily veteran in there against these young guns who are absolutely killing it. If not there, though, I think another aspect is we got to fight somebody who hasn't necessarily done so much in the game as of late. They were on a serious trajectory on the come up, but then kind of ran into some problems. We need to get this guy back in to his winning ways, or back and forth, see how these somewhat middle-aged, older of these fighters are going. I'm going Mike Perry. I don't know if anything crazy has happened with Mike Perry lately. I even had to make sure he's still on the UFC roster. I had to go into UFC and be like, all right, this dude's still on. All right, cool, he is. Yeah, I would like to see Mike Perry fight, get back to his ways, because there's been some mental issues. There's been some things with Mike Perry going forward that need to be handled, and I think a good fight with a very game opponent would do wonders for Mike Perry going forward. What do you think?
I think that'd be a fun matchup on the feet, but I think Charnado might ultimately get it to the ground and try to submit Perry. So that would be the one where it's a little bit of a mismatch, but in terms of a boxing affair, man, that'd be very fun. I honestly, man, I don't even really want to see Mike Perry fight in the UFC anymore. I would love to see him start boxing or bare knuckle fighting. I think that he would be very, very good. In either one of those ones. It'd be decent in boxing, probably really good at the bare knuckle boxing, you feel me? Just because that grit, that bite down on your mouthpiece grit. But all right, man, next one, Bruce Leeroy. This is probably the biggest jump that I'm giving anybody on this matchmaking card. He goes from number 31. I'm boosting him up to number 18, man. That's a 13-spot jump, so he's not quite in the top 15, but he's like right there, man, right on the cusp. And the reason why is because I thought Choi was actually ranked a little higher. He's ranked about 25, right? So not as high as I thought. But either one of the opponents that I'm going to give Caceres is going to be in the top 15 to fight for that spot, AJ. So who do you have? And do you agree? Should he be fighting a top 15er next?
I do. I think, I think top 15 is the only way to go, man. He's been doing it for so long, has the repertoire, has the skill set to get it done both on the feet and on the ground. I'm going Movsar Evloev, brother.
Ooh,
I think it'd be a good fight. Movsar Evloev is very, very dangerous wherever you want to get it done. And he has the power. And we saw one of the big things that Caceres was lacking was that pop on his shots, because Choi was just able to eat him. Movsar Evloev can get it done with the kicks too. I think it's a good fight, man. We see some karate style versus, I don't even know what you call Movsar Evloev. He's an all-around dog, basically. He can get it done. So, yeah, that's what I'm going. What about you?
I like Evloev there, but I think that would just be, Evloev is known for ragdolling people around the cage, man. So it'd be interesting to see if the movement of Caceres could kind of, negate that a little bit. But I had two spots, man. First one was Ilia Topuria, number 15th ranked, man. The Matador, man. 11-0. Fight for that 15th spot. Call him out. What's up, man? Let's do it. You got your win over Ryan Hall. That's all in well. And Damon Jackson. They're kind of cut from the same cloth there. But fight a real, like he said it himself, an awkward style fighter like Alex Caceres, right? Or number 12, Sadiq Youssef, who's actually coming off of a loss, man, against Arnold Allen. So that was actually Arnold Allen's last fight was Sadiq Youssef. But he's a high-level prospect on the verge of being a contender, currently number 12, and this would just cement either one of them as a true top 15 talent, man. So which one do you prefer out of either of those, Topuria or Youssef? Which one would you like to see more?
I'd probably like to see the Topuria fight. Mm-hmm. I think Sadiq Youssef but all three of these guys are absolute killers. Yeah. But if I had to go anybody of the two that you're listing, I'd say Ilia Topuria. I like to see that style on the feet matchup as far as how they're going, and then being able to handle Ryan Hall on the feet is just another a level above its own. And if Caceres can get it done there too, that's even more impressive going forward.
Yeah. Maybe Ryan Hall on the ground. Ryan Hall on the feet's good too. But his BJJ, right? That's what the man's known for. You know what I'm saying? Uh-huh. All right, Jessica Rose Clark, number 16, no change, right? You know what I mean? Because at Typology, they had her ranked number 15. She's not number 15 ranked fighter, not right now. But Jocelyn Edwards is about 18. I say give her Carol Hossa. I say if you want to fight for the rankings, guess what? Carol Hossa, she's been steamrolling her opponents, but she needs to fight someone who has name recognition. You need to give someone who's like, all right, You're fighting who? Okay. Carol Hossa? You're going to... Okay. All right, here we go. So Clark would be the biggest name Hossa has fought thus far, and Hossa presents an interesting challenge in both the striking and grappling department against the very improved wrestling skills that Clark has attained as of late, man. What do you think about that, and who do you have?
Yeah, I saw the Carol Hossa pick as well. I thought Hossa might be a little too much for her though.
Oh.
So I went Lena Landsberg myself.
Okay.
And Lena Landsberg coming off that L, I believe it's to McCann, something like that.
Yeah.
But either way, Lena Landsberg's still very dangerous. I think both those fights, I'm pretty sure they're ranked very similarly as well. So it'd be a good fight going forward for Jessica Rose Clark.
Yeah, I'm with you. I haven't seen Lena Landsberg in action in quite some time, man. So, yeah, definitely someone in there. Get him active again. And lastly, man, Marvin Vettori. He takes the number 2 spot from Paulo Costa, man. You know, it's pretty clear, pretty simple. He's in limbo, though, right? Because you can't fight Adesanya again. You literally just lost to the man very definitively. 2 very definitive losses back-to-back. And you can't tell me otherwise. The first fight was definitive, too. You know what I'm saying? So 2 back-to-back definitive losses. I say he fights the loser of Jared Cannonier and Derick Brunson or Robert Whittaker if Whittaker loses to Adesanya again. So it's still in this spot of a win doesn't do much for you. A loss sets you back pretty far. I don't know, man. It kind of sucks. I feel bad because Vettori is in this just kind of dead zone right now. What do you think? And who do you have?
Yeah, I think those are the clear-cut paths. You know, either Cannonier, Brunson, or Robert Whittaker if he gets the L. But if you don't want to be in limbo, I think you go Darren Till. I think it's an interesting fight. I don't know what Tills has going on right now. But I think the 2 paths right now are kind of the most clear things. Darren Till's kind of up in limbo as well. So it's not as exciting for me. Yeah. I think Marvin Vettori still gets that one done. Although Till, he's a banger. He can get it done.
But just out of curiosity, like, what would that do for Vettori? Because if Vettori is ranked higher than Brunson just demolished Till, and then Vettori loses to Till, well, then somehow, some way, he's now lower than Till and Brunson. So it's like literally you're risking everything to gain nothing at all.
I think the only thing it does for him is get him a paycheck.
Yeah, right.
There's no ranking anything. There's no like MMA math going forward. I definitely think, like I said, if you just want to be out of limbo and get a fight going, it's Till. Other than that,
so
not really much for you.
Sometimes there is benefit in just staying active, right? You know, and just, you know, that's what Dana White says. He was like, listen, man, it's probably not your best bet to try to wait out for a title. He said that about Carla Esparza, and it's like, God, that shit on a 5-fight winning streak, bro. She's destroying everybody, and still, oh God, I guess. All right, man, but okay, so that's the matchmaking, folks. Clearly, is a little undecided in some of that stuff, you know what I mean? But we got the job done on that. And then AJ, lastly, just a word on the street, man. Nevada Athletic Commission suspends Ryan Benoit, or Benoit, however you would like to say it, who is no longer on the UFC roster. Suspends him for 9 months after testing positive for a sleep apnea drug. Now, this drug was named modafinil. 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 Butchering it, but there we go. More commonly known as Provigil, right? Commonly prescribed medication for sleep apnea. In addition to his suspension, he faces a fine total of $3,445, and he'll be eligible to return on April 1st. How's that make you feel, AJ? Sleep apnea drug, you get popped on it, and then you get suspended from competition. Now, we know people are wacky, and they'll take a bunch of picograms and all types of shit, you know what I'm saying, to boost their performance. But what do you think about that? That could legitimately be a like, hey, man, if I can't sleep, I can't train. If I can't train, I can't sleep. Big cycle that fucks up performance. What do you think?
Yeah, that's crazy, man, because sleep is one of the most important things for recovery, for, you know, mental cognition. That's crazy that they're doing sleep apnea. And it's we saw this with who's one that just had ADD medication.
Oh, man, I don't know. Yeah, Kevin Lee. That's right.
Kevin Lee got hit with like a Ritalin or something. And it's crazy because it's not even like performance enhancing. That's like for real from a doctor, and I'm sure the sleep apnea one as well. Like, it's crazy that even they're USADA's banning non-performance enhancing drugs. And I guess, you know, you need your sleeps. That is a performance enhancing because it is a recovery aspect, but it's wild to see that that's there too, man. Wow.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, man. And all right, UFC prospect TJ Laramie, he announces his UFC 268 withdrawal after a MRSA diagnosis, man. Which is pretty serious. It's not a joke. He showed some pictures too. I didn't show them here because that's just nasty. But Laramie was forced to withdraw from his May 1st bout against Damon Jackson for undisclosed reasons. He now withdraws from his September 11th bout against Melsik Bagdasaryan due to MRSA, and that would have been a banging matchup right there, man. Bagdasaryan is a killer right there. But what does this mean for you, man? This sucks for him. You know what I mean? Because MRSA is a real thing. Like, that's not any oh, you had to pull out because of MRSA. It's like, bro, yes, you had to pull out because of MRSA. But 2 back-to-back withdrawals, man, potentially might not even be able to fight this year at all. Or unless he fought really early. He might have fought really early this year. But the point is, listen, he's a young dude. He's probably not making a bunch of money right now, man. And if you can't fight, you don't get paid. You're still paying for training camps. You're having to pull out. What do you make of this situation?
It's rough, man. It's rough because it's really like that's something serious right there. You got to handle, your health first, above and foremost. That's the biggest thing because we only get one at least on this spectral plane. Not to get too deep or anything, but yeah, man, that's wow, that's rough, dude. Because you're still training, you're still working hard, and you're not getting the fights to get the money going. Sheesh, that's rough.
And that's the thing. You've seen fighters fight with what looks to be clear signs of staph infection, you know what I mean? People on antibiotics doing all these situations. And I'll tell you, man, it's hard to avoid it. It's not like these dudes are nasty, man. When you're rolling jiu-jitsu, you're wrestling, you're doing a bunch of clinch work, man. You're getting cut up, man. You got open wounds. Skin infections are a real thing, whether it's cellulitis, impetigo, you know what I mean, MRSA, whatever the case may be. Those things happen. I think it was Henry Hooft, man, a dude who has been doing this thing forever. He's a coach. He just got his first bout of cellulitis, and dude was like 40 plus years old, and he's just coaching. He's not even fighting, you know what I'm saying? So it goes to show that it's just a tough situation for TJ Laramie, but wish him nothing but the best, speedy recovery, all the good stuff, good energies. Bring all that good stuff, man. So that's the Newswire, folks. And then, listen, man, this has been a very, very eventful program here on our hands today, man. But I think we got next week to look forward to because we got some banging-ass fights, AJ. We got some real shit we could talk about. Not to say that we haven't been able to talk about anything the last couple of weeks, man. But as I highlighted on the preview show, man, listen, we got Teixeira versus Blachowicz, Piotr Yan versus Corey Sandhagen, Makhachev versus Dan Hooker, the Li Jingliang versus Hazmat Chimaev. We got the whole nine, man. We got some banging ass fights, AJ. Real quick, early preview alert. We ain't done no film study. We've done nothing, man. Who are you giving the edge to, AJ? Jan Blachowicz or Glover Teixeira?
Jan Blachowicz. I'm going Blachowicz on that one. At least right now, man. Glover Teixeira, another ageless wonder. We'll see if he can get it done. Crafty veteran, can't count him out.
This will be the man's last shot at a title if you're Glover Teixeira. But yeah, I think I'm backing Jan Blachowicz for now as well, folks. It's been a pleasure. It's been an honor. Drop a like, all the good stuff, man. What's really important, folks, in all honesty, all kidding aside, all the boost the analytics aside and all that, man, if you enjoy the program truly, man, just feel free to send it to somebody else who you know enjoys the sport, because this is what we do it for, right, AJ, man? We do this thing week in and week out. This is episode 90, man. So if you think about that, 2 episodes a week. Do the math. My math is terrible, but do the math, folks. We do this pretty often, right? We're handling business pretty often. So with that being said, though, AJ, I don't think that the goal for this has ever necessarily been profit driven, been, fame driven. Of course, those are byproducts that you definitely want to see, especially with putting in so much work and time. But it's because we will talk all the time. Yo, brother, you catch the fights? Oh yeah. What you think about this? What you think about that? Oh yeah, all that stuff, right? And it turned into an outlet where we're able to voice that stuff, and then also not only help ourselves conceptualize, maybe place our wagers a little bit, but then give it to the other people who then could say, oh man, I watched your show. I placed a couple bets and I won some money, dude. Like, good looks. I appreciate you. So folks, if you enjoy it, share it with somebody who you know will appreciate it. And that's what it's about. Word of mouth. Best source of marketing in the world today. What do you think, AJ?
You're right, Derick. We do this for the love of the game. We do it because we were chopping it up regardless, man. We'd be doing this even if there wasn't any followers, but we love all the viewers. We love it like that, man. Keep pushing it on. Keep going. Help us get to more people that we'd love to help out going forward. And like I said, we'd be doing this regardless. And It's not for the fame, it's not for the money, even though that would be amazing. We do it because we love it, and we hope you all love the show going forward as well.
Absolutely. So couldn't have said it better myself. Of course, as always, you know what I'm saying? Me and my guy AJ, the Santa Fe Bomber, the New Mexico native, man, handling business. Folks, that is it for us this week. Catch us on Friday, right, for the preview show. UFC 267, man. Come on, what are we talking about? All right, folks. Until next time. Peace.